Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
WWE Chief Content Officer Triple H spoke about some of the creative differences in the men's War Games match. The encounter was the main event of Survivor Series this year. It was a star-studded affair at Survivor Series as the team of CM Punk, The Usos, Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns faced off against Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar. The match had its fair share of high spots, with the heels finally getting the win with some help from a hooded figure. The Game showed up at the Survivor Series post-show and spoke in detail about the events of the night. He mentioned that when so many major stars are in a match, everybody wants to get in their say. The Game revealed that there was a lot of lobbying and backstage politics before the War Games match. He noted that the situation before the match was tense and everyone could feel the high stakes involved. When you have Brock Lesnar, who does not team well with others. When you have Roman Reigns, and you have Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, and CM Punk, and Logan Paul, all these people that are in there putting things out at another level, and you see that competitive nature. The lobbying, the politics, the backstage tension tonight, you can cut it with a knife. It was epic. You saw that in people's performances. A hooded man helped Braun Breaker at WWE War Games. During the War Games match, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes managed to neutralize the threat of Brock Lesnar as they hit him with a GTS followed by a crossroads. However, during the final stages of the encounter, a hooded man showed up and attacked CM Punk. He hit a vicious stomp on the World Heavyweight Champion before climbing out of the cage. This allowed Braun Breaker to pin the champ and claim the victory for his team. It will be interesting to see if more details on the Masked Man are revealed on Raw this week. The tension inside the WWE locker room was already sky-high heading into Survivor Series, but no one expected the storm that brewed behind the scenes before the men's War Games match. Rumblings of backstage lobbying had filtered through the whispers of production assistants, agents, and talent themselves. But when both Triple H and Roman Reigns, two of the most powerful forces in the company, acknowledged that yes, there had been politics, everything erupted. The story begins 2 nights before Survivor Series. War Games was already the most chaotic match on the schedule, a battleground where egos, alliances, and rivalries collide in one giant steel structure. But behind the curtain, chaos was unfolding long before any cages were lowered. Triple H, now fully in charge of WWE Creative, was sitting in his office reviewing the final layout of the match. Each War Games team carried major stories, major stars, and major implications for the company. Every decision, who entered first, who got the spotlight moments, who stood tall at the end, would ripple far beyond one night. Suddenly, the office door shut harder than expected. In walked Roman Reigns. Not the tribal, arrogant persona of the bloodline leader. But Roman, intentional, focused, and clearly unhappy. "We need to talk," Roman said without even sitting down. Triple H looked up, already knowing this wasn't going to be a short conversation. "About War Games?" "About the backstage noise," Roman replied. "You've heard it. I've heard it. Guys are pushing harder than ever." Triple H sighed. He had heard it. Everyone had. With Survivor Series being Roman's first major multi-man match since returning from hiatus, some stars felt overshadowed. Others were trying to secure spots that weren't originally theirs. A few were insisting they deserved bigger roles, louder moments, showcase spots, or even the final pin. "Hunter," Roman continued, "I don't want to walk into that match knowing half the locker room tried to bend your ear." Triple H leaned back. "They didn't bend my ear. They tried. Big difference." Roman folded his arms. "So who was lobbying the hardest?" Triple H didn't answer immediately. Instead, he turned his screen around. On it were notes from agents, messages from talent, and match layout suggestions that had mysteriously come in late at night, usually when talent got nervous, insecure, or overly ambitious. "There's a list," Triple H said. "And you'll see one name on it at least 5 times." Roman didn't even look at the screen. "Seth?" Triple H nodded. Seth Rollins had been pushing non-stop, reminding management of his status, his popularity, his consistency, his work ethic. But Seth wasn't alone. Other top stars, even ones who rarely politicked, suddenly wanted more. The War Games match wasn't just a spectacle this year. It was a statement. Whoever made the biggest impact would be stamped as the company's future main event anchor heading into WrestleMania season. Roman finally sat down. "What's the plan?" "The plan is what it's always been," Triple H said. "But I'm not going to lie, when half the roster starts pushing for changes, I have to reevaluate." Roman leaned forward. "So tell them no." Triple H almost laughed. "You act like it's that easy. Hunter, you know how this goes. There's always politics. Always someone trying to sneak into the spotlight. But War Games isn't a place for ego. It's a place for storytelling." Triple H stared at him, appreciating the sentiment, especially coming from someone who had once been accused of the very same thing during his own career. Roman continued, lowering his voice. "I don't need to be the one scoring the final fall. I don't need to be the one getting the last camera shot. But I'm not letting this match fall apart because guys are panicking backstage." Triple H nodded again. This was why he trusted Roman more than almost anyone. "Good," Triple H said. "Because we have a problem." Roman narrowed his eyes. "What kind?" Triple H pushed another paper toward him. "Someone tried to lobby their way out of the match." Roman blinked. "Out? Why?" "Fear," Triple H said plainly. "Of being overshadowed. Of being lost in the shuffle. War Games exposes weaknesses." Roman stared at the paper, then leaned back. "So what are we confirming to the public? Because you know reporters have sniffed this out." Triple H exhaled. "I'll tell the truth. There was backstage politics. There was lobbying. And I shut it all down." Roman shook his head slightly. "No. Tell the whole truth." Triple H raised an eyebrow. "Which is?" "That I confronted it too," Roman answered. "That I talked to the locker room. That I told them there's no room for politics in a match like this. They'll listen if they know it came from me." Triple H didn't argue. Roman's presence still commanded the room, even without a championship. 2 hours later, they addressed the roster in the main meeting room. When Triple H entered, the chatter stopped. When Roman walked in right behind him, the silence grew even heavier. Triple H started bluntly, "A lot of you have been lobbying. Some of you doing it non-stop. That ends right now." A few faces turned red. Roman stepped forward. "You want the truth? Yes, Hunter made some decisions you don't like. Yes, some of you tried to change them. And yes, we know exactly who tried to push their way to the top of the match." Eyes shifted. Roman continued, "War Games is not about who yells the loudest backstage. It's about who performs in that cage. The fans decide who shines. Not you." No one dared interrupt. Triple H concluded the meeting with a statement that would later go public. "We're confirming what's been reported. There was backstage lobbying. There were politics. But none of it changed the outcome. The story is the story, and that's final." When WWE posted a backstage digital exclusive hours later, the headlines exploded. Triple H confirms backstage lobbying before War Games. Roman Reigns addresses political tension in the locker room. Fans were stunned, not because politics existed, but because two of the most influential figures acknowledged it. By the time the men's War Games match began, the energy was different. Focused. Determined. No one was jockeying for a bigger moment anymore, because Roman and Triple H had exposed everything. And inside that cage, you could feel it. The story came first. Ego came last. Just the way War Games is meant to be.